Next up, let's look at the Staffs module. So we're going to click Staff, and we're going to click Users. Now the Staff module is where we're going to create all of our users, and where we're going to assign those users to groups. At the group level is where we'll select all of our permissions. There's about 120 different permissions that we'll assign to a group, and then we can add our users to those groups. So under the Staff module, we have users selected. In the upper right-hand corner, let's add a user. There's a couple required fields, one of them being first name, last name, username, which I usually do first initial and last name, and then the email address associated with this user. The email address that is associated with this user will be the email address that the user uses to log in to the back office if they have that permission. Lastly, we'll create a password. And a PIN. Now we can do a custom PIN or we can have a PIN generated for us. Let's have a PIN generated. Lastly, what we'll want to do is save. Now once we have saved, we are presented with an option to assign that user to locations and then also to a group. So we're going to assign this new user that we've created to our mobile location, our restaurant tipping, our retail tipping, and our deli light location. Lastly, we're going to assign this user to an administrator group to give them a lot of permissions, and then also to our manager and our cashier group, saving along the way. And then select Done. Now we see our newly created user, John Harrison here, and it's given me some information about when they last logged in. Because it's a newly created user, they have not logged in at this time. So next under Staff, let's go to our groups. We have some groups that are already created here, and let's look at a couple of those. For our administrator group, we're going to have a lot of permissions selected. The administrator is going to have the option to receive batch and transaction exception emails, allow users to access the point of sale. They're going to have all of the management permissions selected, all of the register permissions selected because they are the administrator for this account. However, if I were to navigate back and I look at my cashier group, you see their permissions are restricted. Let's go ahead and create a new group. So in the upper right-hand corner here, we're going to select Add Group. The required field is to name that group, save it, and then next up, we'll have our permissions. So we'll select a couple of permissions here. Maybe I want them to have all the permissions for transactions, allow them to access my item library, and give them some store permissions. Next up, we'll save and select Done. Now we see our newly created group. If I wanted to delete that group, I simply delete right here. And now that group has been deleted. Let's move on to our next module, and that's the Locations module. The Locations module will present me with all of my locations, allow me to log into that location, but what I want to call out specifically here is the ability to copy a location. If I have a new location and I want to copy the settings that are in a previous location, I can hit that copy button and it will automatically give me some options. Do I want to copy inventory options, copy payment options? Do I want to copy receipt options? And I can select or deselect any of these. At the top of the screen, I have some required fields: name, street address, city, country, state, postal code, time zone, and phone number. All of these are required fields. Again, we leverage the address for when we look at our calendar feature. Next up, let's look at tasks. The task module will allow you to see things like your inventory. Once you upload your inventory, if it takes a little while for that inventory to upload, say 20 minutes, what's the status of that upload? This is where you check that status to see if it is completed. Once you have started the upload process for inventory, you can navigate to other portions of the back office to allow that inventory to upload, and then check the status here at the task module. That wraps up the back office demo. Thank you.